think something that I see very frequently with people when they leave the church is that they were so used to burying their emotions, disconnecting from their emotional states, because emotions either come from God or they come from Satan. They're never just internal. It's like you're being influenced, right? They're disconnected from the emotions that they don't want. And then once they leave, it all starts to come up. It's so overwhelming because we were never taught how to deal with our anger. We were only taught to disassociate from it. And so it's so overwhelming that it's like you're exploding. A matter of learning how to relate to your emotional states in a way that's healthy and productive, but still incredibly messy. And that's okay, rather than being like, I'm going to just continue to pretend that that's not there.
I think there's a lot of ex-religious people. I think if you really understood how much there is to deconstruct about just basic things that you probably grew up in a ward where you were not taught to be in tune with your feelings, and you were not taught a lot of things that are integral to being a happy, healthy human,
where they're essentially, like leave it alone, or like don't be angry, right? Comes to mind is projection. It's like, how could somebody who isn't feeling what you're feeling or going through what you're going through feel like they know what you need, because their process is different than yours? Like when I look at people who have left the church and some are angry and some are not, I'm not like, oh, those people shouldn't be angry and those people should, or whatever, because everyone's process is different. So if you're on the internet telling someone else what they should be doing, that is 100% a projection. There's still a hierarchy of emotions in there that comes from Mormonism. If you're looking at somebody who is angry and you're saying to them that they need to leave it alone, then you don't understand the role of anger in someone's healing. That to me is somebody who has bypassed their own anger and is telling other people to do the same. And that is something that needs to be deconstructed. Like, people who are ex-Mormon are often so weird about the type of ex-Mormon that they are. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to be ruffling any feathers, and I don't want to be angry. I just want to forgive,
It's like, have you deconstructed your need for people pleasing?
Yeah. Like, have you deconstructed the way you pathologize your emotional states? Because it seems like that's what's happening here.
What are some other tools that you feel like people are kind of missing as they deconstruct? Like, I know compassion is always a big one that I think comes up as we're trying to learning and growing. But like, what are some things you've had to unlearn or teach yourself?
One thing that people often don't want to look at when they leave is how much hurt is there. It usually goes to like anger, which is fine. Anger is essentially like my boundaries have been violated. Like, do not do that again. This is not okay. Without anger, it's like there wouldn't be activism, right? So it's like anger is good, but there's so much hurt that people don't want to see and they don't want to feel from something that they loved and they devoted a big part of their life to being a lie. I would say you gotta feel it to heal it.
People are afraid to feel it.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that.
Tell me what your process is like.
If you have an emotional state that you don't like, you think that it's because something's wrong. And that's not true. That's not how life works. Emotions cannot be... Like, we're literally just floating in a field of emotions. When your emotions come up, whether it's anger or grief or bitterness or hatred or whatever it is, don't pathologize it. Like, don't sit there and be like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, or I don't want to feel this, or whatever. And instead start trying to relate to it. It can be tricky because when I first started going through this process and everyone was like, you got to feel it to heal it. And I was like, bitch, I've been feeling my emotions. I've been drowning in my emotions for months and I don't feel any better. So it's not like you just have to, like spew all over everyone and like let your emotions just be like bleeding out of you over everyone around you. You have to relate to them. So it's a matter of finding that self, right? Like the big S self, and being able to hold space. It's like your inner parent. It's reparenting.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Like you're essentially like, okay, I'm right here and this is what I'm feeling. And then you let that part of you speak. You let that part of you express or whatever it needs to its fullest extent. Like, there were so many times when I was just yelling F words in the car, at the temple, letting it come out in a way that I was holding it so that I could help it heal.
The amorphous nature, I feel like, of emotions are going to take me on a ride, whether I want to be on it or not.
Yep.
And so if you can find better ways to have that road trip partner, stay buckled in and like, I don't judge you for spilling snacks, but let's talk about this.
And I'm going to be the one driving.
Yeah. But what I love is I know I have been through such a dark year, and what I'm so happy to be into this space now through the help of, yes, psychedelics, but a lot of like these practices of feeling safe with myself that I can feel these things and it won't get out of control, is this feeling of like, this is going to be a circular cycle. I will have highs some days, and like some days I'm going to have these lows and I'm going to have to find a way to get through them, but I'm not always going to stay in this pit. If I can work with this, it's going to come back up and it's going to be a cycle. It's going to be for the rest of my life. So all I got to do is just like keep getting better with this road trip partner,